There once was a young man named Kale, who walked through his days as if carrying an immense invisible weight upon his shoulders. Though he was young and his body was strong, his spirit felt ancient and tired. Every morning he would wake up not with a sense of renewal, but with the familiar heavy blanket of his own thoughts settling over him. He worried about things he had said yesterday, cringing at the memory of a misspoken word or an awkward silence. He carried the heavy stones of regret for choices he had made weeks ago, months ago, even years ago, replaying each moment in his mind, wishing he could turn back the clock and choose a different path. This constant internal chatter was exhausting. These burdens, though unseen by others, were as real to Kale as the ground beneath his feet. They colored his world in shades of gray, making it difficult to see the vibrant beauty of the present moment. When a friend would share a joyful story, Kale would smile on the outside, but inside, his mind would be somewhere else entirely. His mind was a relentless storm, and he felt like a small boat being tossed on its violent waves, with no harbor in sight. He tried to push these thoughts away, to argue with them, to reason with them, but it was like fighting shadows. The more he struggled against them, the stronger their grip seemed to become. He felt trapped within the prison of his own mind, a place that was supposed to be his sanctuary, but had instead become a source of constant torment. He longed for just a moment of peace, a single breath where he wasn't being chased by the ghosts of his past or the phantoms of his future. He saw others who seemed to live with such lightness and ease, and he wondered what their secret was. He felt lost, alone, and deeply weary. Kale's mind was a crowded room filled with the loud echoes of yesterday and the anxious whispers of tomorrow. The present moment was a quiet guest that could never seem to get a word in. When he was at work, trying to focus on a task, his mind would drift back to a conversation from the previous week. He would dissect every word, analyzing the tone, searching for hidden meanings. These thoughts were like echoes in a vast canyon, bouncing back again and again, louder and more distorted each time. He lived in a mental replay, stuck on a loop of perceived failures. The future was no safer, a foggy landscape filled with menacing shapes and uncertain paths. These what-ifs were seeds of fear that he watered daily with his attention, growing into towering trees of anxiety that blocked out all the light. He was so busy preparing for imaginary storms that he never noticed when the sun was shining. This time-traveling mind left him disconnected from his own life. He was a spectator, not a participant. He ate a meal without tasting the food, had a conversation without truly hearing the other person, walked through a park without seeing the flowers. His body was present, but his consciousness was lost in a labyrinth of thoughts, a ghost in his own reality, haunted by the past and terrified of the future. The simple joy of being here now was foreign, a treasure he felt he could never possess. He needed a guide, a map, someone to show him the way back to himself. One afternoon, feeling particularly heavy, Kale walked aimlessly through the city. He found himself near a small, quiet park he had never noticed before. In the center of the park, seated peacefully under the gentle shade of an old willow tree, was a monk. The monk wore simple saffron robes and had a smile that seemed to emanate a profound sense of calm. Kale watched from a distance, intrigued. He wasn't doing anything remarkable, just sitting, breathing, being. After a while, Kale gathered his courage and approached. He felt a little foolish, unsure what he'd say, but he was drawn by hope. "Excuse me," Kale began, his voice barely a whisper. "I hope I am not disturbing you. You look so peaceful. I feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I don't know how to put it down." He felt a rush of vulnerability, laying his turmoil bare. The monk looked up, eyes kind and full of understanding. He didn't offer complex philosophy or a long speech. Instead, he simply patted the spot on the grass beside him. "Sit with me for a while," the monk said, his voice soft and gentle. "The weight you carry is heavy indeed, but it is not the world's. It is your own. The good news is that because it is yours, you are the only one with the power to set it down." The invitation was simple, yet it felt like the most profound offer Kale had ever received. Kale sat on the soft grass, the scent of earth filling his senses. For the first time in a long time, he felt a flicker of hope. He had come seeking answers. He found something just as valuable, a moment of shared peaceful presence. After a few moments of shared silence, the monk reached for a simple glass of water that was sitting beside him on the grass. He held it up for Kale to see. The glass was about half full.
Tell me, how heavy do you think this glass of water is?
Kale looked at the glass, a bit puzzled by the question. It seemed like a strange starting point for solving the immense weight of his worries. I'm not sure. Not very heavy. Perhaps a few 100 grams. It's just a glass of water.
Monk. Exactly, it is quite light. But what would happen if I were to hold it just like this for a few minutes?
Kale, nothing really. Your arm might feel it a little, but it would be fine.
Monk. Indeed. And what if I held it for an hour? And what if I held it up for an entire day from sunrise to sunset without putting it down?
Kale's eyes widened as he imagined the strain. Kale, your arm would be in agony. You would feel intense pain, your muscles would cramp up, your arm would feel completely numb. You might even do some serious damage to it.
Monk. Precisely. Notice that the weight of the glass itself doesn't change. It is always the same. But the longer I hold onto it, the heavier and more burdensome it feels. The pain and the strain are not caused by the glass, but by how long I choose to carry it. He then lowered the glass and set it gently back on the ground, letting out a soft, relaxed sigh. Monk. Ah, relief. It is good to put it down. Kale stared at the glass of water now resting peacefully on the grass. The monk's simple demonstration had unlocked something profound within him. Monk, your worries, your regrets, and your fears are just like this glass of water. Monk, when you think about them for a few moments, they feel manageable. They are light. The thought itself is not the problem. Monk, it is a fleeting visitor, passing through the landscape of your mind. It has no inherent weight or power over you. Monk, but what happens when you hold on to them? What happens when you pick up a worry in the morning and carry it with you all day long? Monk, just like holding the glass, your mind begins to ache. The thought, which was initially light, starts to feel heavier and heavier. Monk, it begins to cause you pain, not because the thought itself has changed, but because you have refused to put it down. You are creating the strain yourself.
Kale's mind flashed back to all the hours, days, and weeks he had spent carrying his own glasses of water. The regret over a past argument, the fear of an upcoming presentation, the worry about what others thought of him. The monk's words were a revelation. It wasn't the worries themselves that were crushing him. It was his relationship with them.
Monk, by the end of the day, after holding on to that single worry for hours, your mind is exhausted. You become so focused on the ache that you forget you have a choice. You forget that you can, at any moment, simply put the glass down. The relief you seek is not in solving the worry, but in letting it go.
But how? How do I put the glass down? These thoughts feel so sticky, they feel so important, like I have to solve them.
You do not fight with the thought. Fighting it is just another way of holding on. Instead, you practice the gentle art of letting go. You learn to become the observer of your thoughts, not their captive. The monk guided Kale through a simple practice. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, breathe out, and release the tension in your shoulders. Now just sit and watch. When a thought of worry appears, when a thought of regret appears, do not grab it. Do not analyze it. Do not judge it. Simply acknowledge its presence. You can even say to yourself, "Ah, there is a thought of worry." Imagine placing that thought on a leaf floating down a gentle stream. Watch it drift away until it disappears from view.
Kale closed his eyes and tried. It was difficult at first. His mind was so used to clinging, to wrestling with his thoughts. But then he remembered the monk's words. He pictured worries, placed them on leaves, and watched them drift downstream. With each thought he let go. The weight on his shoulders lessened, and the storm in his mind calmed into a gentle rain. When Kale finally opened his eyes, the world looked different. From that day forward, Kale's life began to change. He learned the simplest, most profound lesson. The secret to peace was not in changing his thoughts, but in changing his choice to hold on to them.